My name is Yosef Tropper, and this is Parshas Mishpatim. The title is Equality. The purpose of this segment is to provide a short and thought-provoking idea on the Parsha. And we find many, many laws that really could have spoken about, so many of them in this week's Parsha, jam-packed. The Elah Mishpatim, these are the laws. And one of the laws that we find is the idea called ribis, that one is not allowed to lend money with interest payments required when he's lending money to Jews. And the question is, why is this such a significant law? Why do we have such a law that you're not allowed to lend with ribis? And Chazal even tell us the strict punishments that befall someone that lends with ribis, that Chazal tell us that he will not merit to have tchiyas hamesim, the resurrection of the dead, for lending with ribis on purpose and not repenting. So why is it so strict? What's wrong with making a little money off of renting out our money? What's the significance behind this? And there's a very interesting medrash. The medrash says, Medrash Rabbi tells us that Hashem says, I created a world where the world itself is always borrowing from each other, and yet there's no ribis being paid there. And the medrash explains, for example, that sometimes the day is very long, and sometimes it borrows time from the night and becomes longer, or sometimes the night borrows time from the day and gets lengthened. And so the world itself has a built-in lending and borrowing and returning system. And nobody charges interest in that case. And the Medrash says a couple of other examples of these things, the mountains and the water, how they overlap. And the Medrash says how Chachma and Bina, wisdom and inference, also overlap. And this has to be explained. But so that's what the Medrash says, but yet, so the Medrash says that when it comes to all my creations, Hashem says that I created, there's no ribis, there's no interest being charged. But yet, when it comes to human beings, they think that they have a right to charge ribis. So the question is that, what's the Medrash saying? I mean, if Hashem created the world that way, then that's his business. That's how he made it run. But what does that have to do with human beings lending out money and charging interest? So there are many explanations as to why ribis is so bad. Obviously, we know that one of the biggest and worst things that happens is when someone has credit card debt. The interests and the interest that accrues is something that could really destroy a person's credit and prevent the person from ever paying it back. And Chazal tell us that there's a certain bite that one gets when he owes money. And we know that financially people can get ruined in cases of interest payments. And we know it's a horrible and painful thing. So the question is, why do people do it? And the answer is because they want to make money. But they're making money at the expense of other people. And they feel so confident and haughty that, you know what, I have all the money I need. If this person needs money, great, I'm going to get him. He's at a low, I'm going to bash him, and I'm going to tell him I'll help you, but there's going to be interest charges. That means that someone that's charging interest is looking down on other people and saying, I have you over me. You need me. I have something that you don't have. And I'm confident that I'll never need you, and you'll never do this. You'll never have the opportunity to do this back to me. And really, it's not like that, because in this world, so many people have money and lose it and have it, and it goes back and forth. As we've spoken about many times, it's a process. And so therefore, someone that lends with ribis, that charges interest, is saying that I'm greater than you, and I have you at my fingertips, and I could take advantage of you, and I know that I'll never need you. And he's not learning the lesson of the world, because Hashem created it that sometimes the day is longer during different times of the seasons, the night is longer. And there's a process, and it changes back and forth. And the night and day are not foolish. They don't charge each other interest because they know that one day I'm going to need you to give me some of your time also. And that's the attitude that Hashem created the Bria with. The creation is created and imbued with this idea of respecting others and not taking advantage of others. And yet the human being is going and taking advantage of others. And that's why it's such a horrible thing to charge ribis, because it's taking advantage of someone else's situation. And Hashem is teaching us through the Torah that we have to be careful and sensitive to someone else's plight. And when someone's in need, we should turn and help them instead of turning away and trying to take advantage of their misfortune and making a fortune out of that. I thank you so much for listening. I welcome your questions, comments, and sponsorships as well. Thanks.